Hello, my name's Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Podcast. Today, I'm sitting here with Shelly Walters with FC Tucker and Kyle Morris with FC Tucker here in the Carmel office, and it looks like it's going to be a Hamilton County day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, hey, Shelly, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Tony. How are you?
You seem like you're extremely busy, and you're just on your phone right before the show. Also, to you, Kyle, I mean, you guys are like, it always seems like you're nonstop. So tell me how business is right now here in your, I'm going to say it, your neck of the woods.
I'm tired. I'll just be honest. I am fatigued. We talk about it on this podcast quite a bit, and I don't want other agents or anybody else to think like we're not susceptible to it. Like, I mean, we've listed a ton of homes. We've bought a bunch of homes. It's been a lot. We got a little lull here. I got probably like 5, 6 coming up, but I mean, I feel it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm immune to it. Also, like I'm.
Well, did you get tired. Like 4 or 5 listings last week or in the last 10 days?
Oh, I mean, we list. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. I don't even want to get into the numbers, but yeah, we've been doing a lot, and so it's just a lot. It's just a lot, you know. And so you also got, like, for me, I have 2 children at home, you know, because it's summertime, you know, sure. Summer vacations, and you know, like. I have to provide the utmost service to all my clients, which I do, you know, but like it spreads you thin. It just absolutely does when you're doing as much as Shelly does or as I do. And I get through it and everything, but to think that it doesn't like impact you, it's just inaccurate.
What about you, Shelly?
One of the things that's kind of noticing to me is the sales. I'm sorry, the homes are hitting the market a little bit more, because I know we were kind of like March, April, and May thinking what was going to happen. I think we're having a steady influx of homes coming on the market, and I think it's a little easier for buyers today. We're not seeing those huge multiple offers coming in, you know, 5, 6, 7, or 8. I think it's a really good time for buyers to be out there. It's not as competitive. I did have a closing yesterday, and I was talking to the agent who's mainly a buyer's agent. She said she's tired. Mm-hmm. She said it's really, been hard. She's, basically selling a lot of the properties in the 100 to 300 range, and she's still seeing a lot of multiple offers, though, for herself. But I think, we were, maybe talking about this a little bit more. Brian Buffini was talking about potentially we're getting back to that seasonal selling season, and this is July, so we're in the thick of it. It's the time to be having houses sell, and it's just that time of year.
I do feel like, to your point, multiple offers has just changed. I mean, it's more like 2,
right,
3,
right,
maybe,
and not like 40,000 over.
Yeah, I mean, you might be a little bit over. You might be 10% over, something like that, depending on the house. But I mean, maybe not even 10%. Just not as much, just not as bad. But the timeline is still the same. I mean, if it's multiple offers, like it's within the first 48 hours.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's
fast.
Yeah. And again, I know a lot of questions have been had from a lot of the agents as whether or not we should have those 4 days open so that you can have, all offers due by. I'm still doing it. I still think it's something to do. If you think you've got a house that is going to sell with multiple offers, I, again, get back to the fact that I am trying to help the market, if I could say I'm doing that, because I'm helping agents be able to get into the house. I'm helping buyers be able to get into the house, maybe even have a second showing, so that there isn't that rush to make an offer that 2 days from now you have buyer's regret. So we have that. We've had that a lot. I do say, though, I have started to see more houses come back on market recently. I'm starting to see that, and I'm not.
Yeah, we haven't seen that for a long time.
Yeah, I've probably, watching the markets that I watch, I've seen it, and I'm not sure what's going on. So I think, we said earlier, Kyle, you were talking about that the buyers are being a little bit more discerning. They've been pushed around for a couple of years, and
exactly.
They're here to look at a house and just not make a knee-jerk reaction.
I've dealt with more when I'm selling and engaged with the other side. People who are okay losing. 100%. I've dealt with that a little bit this year. In the past 45 days.
Yeah, they're
people
not
are
such they're not such a panic that they lost the deal on the house.
Yeah, they've got there'll be another house.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think interest rates had something to do with that too.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah,
it does.
Of
but
course.
what you said, there'll be another house.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, last couple of years or whatever, if you had to say, okay, I'll put a new roof on, as a buyer. Okay, I'll fix the structural issues as the buyer. I just want that house.
Right.
Now you're like, no, it's Mr. and Mrs. Seller. You really don't want to do those things for me if you're not being nicky picky, whatever. But yeah,
I'll tell you what a lot of people are doing with these low interest rates too. Some of them,
low interest rates?
Well, the low interest rates that they have like 2 years ago,
yeah.
the people
they're
are
tapping
locked in.
into home equity loans right now. A lot of them. Home equity loan applications are up big time. But what they don't understand is they're going out there getting a 5.99 deal or even a 4.99 deal, okay, and it will raise within 6 months to 8.99, 7.99. They're high, but people are tapping into home equity loans. So I don't know if they're upgrading their house or consolidating their debts. Who knows what they're doing with the money? But, that really gives them a blended rate, so they feel good that they got a 2.75. They go in and they think they got a 3.99 or 4.99 because that $50,000 or that $100,000 check looks good. And then the next thing you know, remember I said this, in 1 year from now, they're going to think, oh, I got to refinance because my blended rate is so high.
Yeah.
My girlfriend just had that happen. So
Yep.
Tony, explain that to me. I actually didn't know these home equity lines. Her home equity line was going up like
It floats with the market rate.
over and over again, and it was
You can't really get a fixed home. Well, you can, but you're going to pay what we were talking about before the show. You're going to pay
you're gonna
points
pay
and some
for it.
high fees to get that.
Well, it's different though because it's a home equity line of credit versus a second mortgage. Second mortgage would stick, but a home equity line of credit
Right.
floats with the market rate based off of 1 or 2 percentage points. It just
Absolutely.
depends on what you get.
So her keeps climbing, right?
Yeah.
So now what she has to do is she's got to take her home equity rate at her highest rate right now.
It was at 10% when she this past
Right.
year.
And now she has to take her rate, send it to me, and then I'll tell her, you just don't add them together and divide it by 2. That's not a blended rate.
Right.
What you have to do is you have to take the balance against the equity of the house, against the loan balance of the home equity loans rate, and you put that together in a formula, and you say, how many years are you still going to live in this house? And she says, I'm going to live here 10 years. Okay. Now, what is your blended rate? And I'll tell you what your blended rate is. People don't understand that those 2.75s and those 3.75s that they have, along with an 8.99 or a 10.99, they might as well package it together and go get themselves a refinance at 6.5% or 7%. It's cheaper.
Interesting.
And
Is it?
you're paying down your principal and interest. On a lot of these home equity loans, you're paying interest only.
Oh,
I got a
yeah.
guy right now that has a $180,000 one, and he's paying interest only because he's at about 8.99%, and he started at 3.99.
But a lot of that is
6 months ago.
because people get stuck on this. Like, I've got a 3% interest rate and I don't want to get away from it. And they're paying more than they actually would
Couldn't have said it any better, Kyle.
But that's an education piece. I mean, we can get into that a whole nother day because that's.
Well, hey.
there's just so many ins and outs of like all of this.
Well, and that's
of a house
talking
and
about-
equity and all that. Yeah.
It runs into also when buyers say that they, we give them names of who we highly recommend, Tony or some other people, so
Yeah.
that they would be able to get a rate for the pre-approval that we're asking them to get. And then they come back and they go, but this man this lender
Yeah.
just gave me this rate, so they're going to beat your guy that you recommend that
Right,
we
of
highly
course.
work with every day, that we want to work with, that we know will get us to the closing table. They'll go find somebody out there online or something,
Right.
and they'll come back and go, well, they're giving us a 6.25, and you're looking at them cross-eyed like, how did you get that? And they're like, no, that's what I have. They don't know the full details of
haven't
how
So let me
that
tell you
rate-
what happened. Here's the deal. A physician's loans for our company was going to be $600,000, no money down. Okay, zero down. Our rate with the physician's loan was 7.25%. The guy's out of school for 2 years. He's making XYZ. His debt ratio comes in line. The guy comes back to us, to one of our loan officers in our company, Randy, and says, hey, we can get 6.25%. And I said, well, Randy, let's look at the information on it. And they come back to me because I look at everything behind the scenes. And the estimated and pre-approval didn't show any points. These people just closed last week, and it way too late. And the bottom line is they did get 6.5%.
And how'd they get it, Tony?
They had to pay $18,000 in points to get it. So now you would have been better off to pay 7.25% with no points and standard closing costs. The closing costs would have been $2,180 plus your escrows and your insurance policy and your side of the title. But no. These guys are crying. They just closed, and they're not really crying, but they got smoked. And I know the bank here in Indianapolis. I know the deal. And it really wasn't the bank fault. It's the way it was presented to them with the loan officer. There's a lot of good loan officers out there, but this guy got smoked.
Well,
okay?
that's where you have to really say, just somebody telling you what your rate's going to be means nothing until you see all the details.
Rate, origination, discount points, okay, and all the other fees. It's all adds up into the bottom line.
Yeah, but so we were talking about that, and if it sounds too good to be true,
it's too good to be true.
I think everybody knows right now.
You get a 6.5% rate out there. I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not going to happen without cost.
When you shop a rate, like if somebody beats it a little bit, maybe by a quarter,
that's easy.
That makes sense, right? But when you're talking about half points, full points, like something's going on there. Like either on the one that you originally got, right, which is why we use people like you or whatever, so like we trust them and we know that that's not going on. But
full disclosure.
Yeah, I mean, rates are around 7.25. Like if you're getting quoted 6.5, something's up. Like let's just all
looking at them right
do
now.
it.
Rates are at 7.25%, 7.5%. I'm looking at them live right now. I'm not going to go into the details, but the bottom line is this. Look, when you get qualified for a construction loan, a regular mortgage, FHA or VA, anything, pre-approval is one thing, a final approval is another thing, and you really don't get your final until a couple weeks or actually up until a week before closing, because what you have to do is you have to knock off everything the underwriter said you have to do. And if you miss one of those things, it makes the rate go up, okay, or it can make the origination fee go up because it pays, the lender pays different on those. There's a lot of good mortgage guys out there, trust me. Yeah. There's a ton of good ones. But there's some that, I have to say this, that are with banks, and they make mortgage applications, and I always think that you're going to get a little bit better deal, okay, with a broker. I'm telling you, brokers and financial lenders are completely different than banks. There's a lot of good banks out there. Don't get me wrong. I got some guys with Chase. I got some guys with PNC are really good, but there's some banks out there that their loan officers aren't putting it on the line, okay. And the bottom line is, it costs you guys frustration when the loan application isn't done right. It's a pre-approval. Pre-approvals don't mean anything. They absolutely don't mean anything. It's like, yeah, your ratios work. Here's what your rate is, and this is what your estimated credit is. So the bottom line is, it does change for people. We went from home equity loans to this, but I got to tell you something. This is part of the business right now. And what you guys are going to find out a year and a half to 2 years from now, I only owe $275 on my first mortgage. I also owe $125,000 on my second mortgage. Okay, so,
and it never got paid down because it was interest only.
Well, it's up to them if they want to pay additional principal and interest.
Right.
I've always had one where I pay additional on it. I don't have one now, but the bottom line is, the smartest thing to do is get the lowest rate you can and hammer it down.
Yeah. Well, we just need to know that the buyers. We try to help our buyers, get them in touch with people that we know are great in the business, that are honest, and will provide them with the proper information that they need to make their decisions.
Right.
When they're getting information put in front of them that looks like a great, like shiny apple, great candy in front of them, that the rate is a little lower, it is almost impossible for us to steer them back in to look into that a little further. They just look at that rate and go, I'm going that direction because that number is so much lower.
It's like a $300 difference in a monthly payment. Sometimes more. Like who wouldn't perk up with that?
I've seen deals where the payment's absolutely lower, but all of a sudden the closing costs are.
You paid for like 6 years of it in closing costs.
Well, not 6 years.
Yeah, but
so if you look at that, I know the numbers have been ran. So like you said, $18,000. How many years of payments was it till he's going to make up that difference?
Well, here's what the problem is. If the market rate goes down below 6.5%, okay, they're going to refinance, right?
So if they refinance, $18,000 out the door.
Part of it is it goes down per month. But anyway, hey, let's talk about the market. Tell me what is going on. This is a Hamilton County deal today. Tell me what's going on in Carmel in sales.
In Carmel, we had 45 hit the market in the past 7 days. 26.
Man, that's strong, isn't it?
Yeah,
pretty strong.
I mean, it's good, but we've seen a lot more before.
I would like more.
Yeah, we've been hanging in this number for 2 or 3 months.
Right.
But, last year we were seeing 70, 80 hit the market every 7 days.
Right.
So still, it's better than 20 or something. 26 pended, like I said, and the average days on market for those 7 was 5. I'm sorry, median was 5. Then active currently in Carmel, all of Carmel, 94, anywhere from 340 to 3.4 million. 134 homes sold in the past 30 days. So if we look at that, we always look back at 30 days. We're seeing 130 to 150 sell every 30 days, with only 40 coming on the market. That's still a very low inventory. They're getting sucked up. So 20 of those were new build in Carmel. So we don't have a lot of new builds to deal with here. And then in the past 30 days, the average days on market was 26 and average 5. That's been the same for 60 days.
Yep.
I mean, it's just staying under 30. It's still really good days on market.
Now, what city is that?
Carmel.
You
Gotcha.
sell in 7 or you sit for 30.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you still
Right.
don't, it's not a disproportionate under list either anymore.
Well, and I had a listing last week where, we didn't have an offer on the 3rd day, and my sellers were like, "What are we doing?" I'm like, "I'm not worried. It's okay."
Yeah.
Right.
But they have this mentality of what they're hearing out in the world that you should sell in a day.
Oh,
Not
now. Not now.
And even when I talk to sellers that I've been talking to recently that
Right.
want to get their house on the market, they always like, my neighbor's house across the way sold in a day. Everybody's conversation with me right now is, but they sold in a day. They sold in a day.
Gotcha.
I can almost guarantee you they didn't sell in a day.
No.
It's weird that is the mentality for sellers right now. Everybody's house sells in a day. It's not the truth.
accurate.
It's not the truth. So just in case anybody wants to say that
Okay.
again. Anyway, Westfield 40 hit the market. 9 of those pended. The Westfield again is slower. Days on
course.
market. Average was 24.
A lot more
median
construction
was
up there,
20.
too.
Well, yeah, it's bringing down the days just because of those new builds that sit. 198 are active, but that would be 114 new builds.
Right, there you go.
So only 84 resale.
Right.
148 sold in the past 30 days, and 53 of those were new builds. So,
Gotcha.
Westfield is just new build city.
It is new build city, and I mean it's rapidly growing. It's a great place to buy a house.
Right. And then and the 30 days, the average days on market was 34, and the median was 8. In Zionsville, 16 houses hit the market, 7 of those pended. Average 9 days, median 5. And then currently active in in Zionsville, 64, anywhere from 265 to 8.9. 57 sold in the past 30 days, with 4 of those new builds. And then the average day was 9 on the market for the past 30 days, and median was 4. So Zionsville just continues to be steady Eddie.
I know. I got a buyer for Zionsville, and it is just slim pickings.
Yeah.
Yep.
We say it every week.
Yeah.
If you're in Zionsville and want to sell your house,
Call somebody. Call,
I feel
call
like-
an experienced realtor, number one.
Nobody ever sells in Zionsville because I feel like they just move there and live there forever.
Right.
Exactly.
Because it's got this kind of sleepy town, but it's not.
It's charming.
It's just really cute.
Right.
Yeah.
What-
less transient. It is very true.
You're right. Less transient. You're right. Absolutely. You couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
What do we got for Fishers?
So actually, for both Fishers and Noblesville, is a little interesting. I feel like average days on market and median are getting closer and closer.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me happy, right? And I think it is back to having conversations with sellers. But in Fishers, we had 29 go on the market, anywhere from 270 to 1.2 million. 17 of them are still active, 12 pended, but 36 actually pended total last week. So, we got a negative gain there. There's 106 on the market. Average days on market is 16, and the median is 13. So pretty similar, right? So to your point where it's hey, we haven't sold in 3 days. I mean, I'm not even worried till 30, quite honestly,
Yeah.
And I think being able to have those conversations, sellers are more patient when because I'll just be honest, 90 days ago, if you sat for longer than 70 days, I was lowballing you when I was representing the buyer because I knew you were panicked. And I think that has kind of gone away a little bit where sellers are no, we're good. We'll just sit and wait a little bit longer.
And we've talked about not dropping your price at 10 days because you're what's going on? No, just sit. It's
what's
still
wrong
good.
is your expectation of the market. That's what's wrong.
And when you've listened to the people who are not in the business, that's the other thing, is listening to your neighbors.
Yeah, because like you said, buyers are more discerning, and it's not just the picturesque house that sells over the weekend. It has to be the best of the picturesque house. It's not just a great house anymore. You have to be super, super above and beyond, in my opinion, to kind of hit that first weekend. And then Noblesville, we had 37 go on the market, anywhere from 159 to 850. Actually, when I was looking, I think there was like 4 that
Sounds
went
like
on the
159
market.
is a hell of a deal to live in Noblesville.
There was 4 that went on the market sub 2, right? And so, like we were talking about with Raquel a while back, like there's stuff out there. There just is. 29 of those are still active. Only 8 pended that went on the market last week. 28 total that were active, but only of the there's 124 on the market.
What's wrong?
I just saw somebody I know. It's a really strange thing. I saw him through the window, and that's really inappropriate for the
let's get
podcast.
back
But
to the
anyway, so
inventory.
21 days on market is the average, and there's 13 median. And I wish I wouldn't have looked out that window. I apologize. Anyway, so but anyway, so but the average days on market and the median is getting closer, because when we were doing this, I want to say 5 weeks ago, it was 23 and 5. Right. And like that was really, really interesting that it was so disproportionate. Like you are either stagnant forever or selling pretty quickly. And I feel like we've gotten back to like it's taken about 2 to 3 weeks for most houses to sell. And like that seems, I mean, we were talking about like that seems like more normal. I mean, that's not normal compared to what actually a normal market is, but compared to what we've experienced the past 3 years.
Gotcha.
Like that's a more digestible situation for buyers and sellers, quite honestly. And like you can get one of these days when you talk a little bit about contingent offers. Like I keep dealing with sellers who don't want, like when I'm representing a buyer who don't want a contingent offer, and they have no offers on the table.
Gotcha.
I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Like I have an offer for you right here. And I'm like, all right, well, you can just sit for 2 weeks until you circle back to accept my contingent offer. But we've accepted contingent offers and had no problems getting them done.
Especially if you know what house they're talking about that they have out there. Is, I mean, when we are looking at an average days on market and everything, anything under 20 period, average, median, if you're going to take that a contingency, it's with under the 30 days average marketing time that you have anyway. So
I don't get it.
As long as you talk to the other agent, find out what that house is, as long as it's not and know that agent is going to be a good agent to prep that house. I mean,
I've done quite a few of them this summer, and it's really here to, when I talk to other people and they'll call and be like, oh, we may write, but you're contingent. I'm like, good agents can get contingent offers done. It's really just not that complex. Does it add an extra layer to it? 100%. Is it difficult? Not at all. And so like, I'm a little surprised that we're still dealing with that false narrative.
Well, and I have one right now that's a seller that wants to have a house, look for houses, but he's very afraid of putting his house on the market. And I've had a conversation with him about first rights and everything. I think too is trying to get our clients to trust us, to know what we know and what we're dealing with, and understand that we know how to navigate all of these situations, and just
hire a realtor you can trust.
So here's I'll ask you,
that's
Tony,
the bottom line.
As kind of like the consumer side of this. If I listed your house, and I would say, like, let's say we listed your house for $500,000, right?
I wouldn't take it.
I know. Hypothetical.
Yeah, you're off a few $100,000. Go ahead.
Anyway,
jokingly.
So, but there's because usually that's kind of where
I've almost got Shelly locked in on that deal anyway.
That's where that's kind of like the price point where you kind of see some of this like layering, because somebody has a house that they or 275, 300, whatever it is, right? So that's where you're going to kind of see it at. And I can sell your house in a day, with a contingent offer, for 500, or you can take a risk and sell it in 3 weeks for 470. Like those are your options here.
Well,
I'm making a guess that I get another offer within the next week and a half.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing about first right contingency. If somebody else submits that offer, then you have 48 hours or
to say
72
yes or no.
hours to remove your contingency or not. Like, why would you not accept a contingent offer?
It doesn't hurt the seller at all.
It makes no...
The house is still available
I would
for
definitely,
sale.
I would definitely go with that deal. I mean, who wouldn't in their right mind?
A
They
lot.
don't. Well, it's the way the agents are presenting it to their clients, and they don't understand it. I would take that deal in a New York second. You're crazy not to.
I know, but I literally
you're in control.
You call somebody and be like, hey, we're going to send this over, it's contingent. And they're like, we don't want a contingent offer.
Well,
I was
let's-
like, do
let's
you want
read-
offers at all?
Right. Let's read what the contingency is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two ways to do it. You can do it, so you can do it on like, hey, we got to list it in a week or two or whatever. You can do it as like, hey, it's already on the market and it's got to get under a purchase agreement. Or you can get the other first right of refusal, where like just another offer comes
Absolutely.
in, you're off the table, right? Like
Gotcha.
you don't even have to
It
give
doesn't
the
hurt the
notice.
seller at all to accept that because they're still available for the next person to walk in and hand them an offer
Absolutely.
again, and then they can get rid of their first right buyer. But it gives the opportunity. And I will also say, whenever a buyer has a contingency such as a first right or something else, where they're really seriously requesting the seller to help them out a little bit and give them the opportunity to do this, they're going to pay more.
Yeah,
Got it.
They're not going to come in and go, I'm going to give you a lowball offer and please take my first right.
and then murder you on inspections.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody
Do
knows a
anything.
low ball offer.
They're
Most
going
people do.
to work very strong with you. They're going to be a very good
I'm with you,
buyer,
Shelly,
90% of the
1,000%.
time. So first rights are very good, but it's not a very well known process.
But
I like them.
I think, I mean, we got to help teach this narrative a little bit, just because with interest rates where they are,
Oh, yeah.
it's hard to qualify to carry. You know, like some of these
Right.
people were able to buy non-contingent because DTI
Right.
and because interest rates were so low. Like that's really not the case anymore. And like if you're not willing, like you've got to be open to a contingent offer. Quite honestly, in my opinion, or you're just going to sit and get beat up, right, by somebody who's
That's
trying
exactly
to do that
right.
in the first place. So. I don't understand like how this narrative is continuing.
Because I think
to
you got a
run.
lot of people out there selling houses that don't understand it.
I agree with that.
Especially the people, the person that has the house that's listed, and they're getting that deal where they say they don't want any contingency. You know what? I'd send it over anyway. So you really need to walk through it and listen. But anyway, hey, let's wrap up the show. But there's something I would like to do. I just kind of want to run down today's mortgage rates on the averages. Okay, 7.37. That's subject to if you whatever your credit score is, and you could have origination on that. And then you got 6.75 on a 15-year fix. The jumbos are at 6.90, not bad. You got the 5/1 arms that really aren't in the market, so.
Those came and went pretty quick, didn't they?
They
You talked
came
so
and went pretty
strongly
good.
about
I'll tell you
them.
what, they'll be back soon. If we get two more rate hikes, they could put some pressure on the arms, which would help out people for 5 years or 7 years or 3 years, whatever when they go. The VA is at about 6.75 to 7%, and the FHA is right around 7.25%. But anyway, you know, there was a real good topic that I like today about the contingencies. Okay, and I think we need to kind of maybe touch base on that next week a little bit, because it could help a lot of people sell their homes and could make some opportunities for some of these realtors to understand that at least look at the contingency.
And
It
everybody,
also opens up inventory.
that's what exactly I was going to say. Like we're worried about inventory. Like start trying to buy contingent. What are we talking about out
Absolutely.
here? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, Kyle, how would they do it? Do they send smoke signals, or what do they do?
Carrier pigeon is preferred.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. It's Morse Property Group with FC Tucker 317-649-5122.
And one more question: who is your boss?
My wife's out of town this week, so me.
All right.
Actually, I take that back to my kids.
I'm not going to ask Shelly that. I know who the boss is on her side of the fence. Shelly, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, who do you work for? What company do you have? How can they contact you to list their home or sell them a home?
You can reach me anytime on my cell phone, 317-201-2601. It's Shelly Walters Realty Group at FC Tucker.
And I know who your boss is.
Yeah, it's always me.
Well, I think I'm looking at her over here. She's behind the scenes, Raquel.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's a good boss.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, everybody, thank you for listening to the podcast this week, and we'll talk to you next week.